Thanks invest. We'll talk about investing, finance, and professional development for today's items only. And some talk today will be Ethereum TKTH. First, want to say happy Saturday or happy Sunday, everybody, depending on where you are. Respective recording time of 9:12 p.m. on the Eastern Time. Ethereum currently trading $3,373, up about 3.20% so far. Respect to overall crypto market, we had a relatively green day today, right, with a lot of positive news ever since the confirmatory signal from Jerome Powell that we heard from late Thursday, or, depending on where you are, Friday for respective countries, on his depictions around that he has no intentions of banning cryptocurrencies, right, and also with respect to the sector rotation, the timing shift from September to October. Also on top of the option expiry, and seems like with respect to some of the macro, negative catalysts with respect to the COVID variants, the China ever great news, and obviously with respect to, the Feds on coming into senses, saying that he, again, Jerome Powell has no intention of banning crypto. With that specific affectation, drove a lot of buying pressure across the board, right? But something fishy that's been, that we've been mentioning so far is that the timing of it, as we, shift to October 1st, the news seems a little bit too well, curated, if you may, right? And we've been keeping tabs, and this is the reason why we are detecting these type of artificial pattern, right? So with respect to some of the news that I've been collecting, so far, I spent basically the whole day with my parents today. Just took them out to go shopping, got dinner in the city, and I just got home. And honestly, I'm really, really tired. But I was like looking into my comment sections. Some people were asking me like, oh, we are selling back from the $3,475, which is the technical level that we've identified. So it seems like we're coming back down. Are we gonna see more sell-off coming this weekend, right? So I'm gonna go through the news first, and then subsequently the technical to see how is the momentum trending so far, right? So with respect to Bitcoin, 2 hours ago, I talked about Dogecoin founder proposed Ethereum bridge and NFT compatibility as a way to bolster Doge network. So it seems like the founders and some of the board members on Dogecoin, which including Vitalik Buterin, which is the founder and the creator of Ethereum, and also Elon Musk is on the board of Dogecoin. Seems like there is some collaboration that's going on with respect to some of the early signs with respect to the NFT adoptions on Dogecoin's commercialization front. It seems like there's some areas for them to probably clash or further cultivate. I think there could be potential synergy between the two. I know people like kind of characterize each coins as like each competitors or they competing against one another, but I think we appreciate this type of cultivations in a more of a collaborative sense. So I think this is something that they're working on, and I guess we'll just keep an eye out on. But obviously, based on the verbiage that we've seen so far, it is they talk a little about like the slowdown in the momentum of Dogecoin, because of the surge that we've experienced before, with respect to the Elon Musk debut on SNL, when he was like, literally just pumping Dogecoin on his Twitter posts, to making fun of Dogecoin on the SNL debut, and etc., etc. But it seems like, even though Dogecoin began as a joke, right, but it subsequently, cultivated over time to get actual corporate adoption, which is interesting, right? And next article is talking about Bazinga 6 hours ago, talk about Ethereum smack into resistance as Bitcoin, Dogecoin consolidates. What's next for crypto? So the article is basically talking about with respect to the resistance level of $3,150. It seems like we broke that resistance and we subsequently leaped up to the next level of 3,375 and then the 3,475, which technically we did reach there today, but subsequently reversed back down. So we can dive a little bit more into the technicals to look at how the current momentum looks like. So before that, let's take a look at any other news. CNBC also talks about a couple of news recently, and these are news that we've already talked about earlier this morning. One is with respect to Ethereum had a rough September, which is obvious. We've seen the rough patches that we've been experiencing on oscillation sideways fashion that we've been experiencing since basically the 4th when we were hitting the 4,000 to try and reach all-time high, but subsequently because of the China crackdown, the ever great news, the FOMC meeting, etc., the China crackdown news, all of that news combined into this, again, right, this stew, reflecting on the price sensitivity, subsequent drive to a current level that we at right now. So obviously we had a rough patch on September, and we're seeing some sort of a early innings of a preliminary surge because it's October, and when it's October, people automatically think it's a completely new cadence, a new time period, that everything changes now, which doesn't make any logical sense at all, right? So the article also talks about that. Then the last one is coming from CNBC. Doodle used to create Gary Vaynerchuk's NFT collection sells for $1.2 million and increased its auction. So again, we talked about this early this morning. Gary has, basically a picture of a thunderbird or like a parrot, a doodle, and he's basically he's basically selling this in an auction for $1.2 million, which is again very baffling to me. I'm perplexed by how is that even appraised. But anyway, so let's go straight into the technical analysis, and I am frankly extremely tired, so apologies for me being just a little bit lethargic at the moment. So with respect to Ethereum trading at the $3,381, up about 3.45% so far. I'm recording as of 9:20 p.m. on the Eastern time right now. So as you can see today, I was looking into my phone the whole day, and I know that at the 4:30 p.m. on the Eastern time, we reached the $3,450, but we subsequently reversed back down because that was the resistance level. If we don't crack that level, the next level that we have to basically leap up to would be a relatively massive one. The next one is technically at the 3,840 or 3,850, depending on how specific you want to be, until we could reach to the $4,000 mark, right? But you could see that we could not get there, despite the golden cross is formed. But the surging pressure needs to be enormous for us to get above there, right? Because we technically have this is a relatively large gap, right? So for us to get there, the bullish news on the media front and the whales need to work collectively on top of public investors' FOMO into this. So what catalyst is coming that we know or we are aware that will subsequently be able to drive this? Not that I'm aware of right now. So we could technically just be kind of oscillating on a sideways fashion. And with respect to RSI, we're at the 56 out of 70. So not the most ideal level of dollar cost average, right? So I think again, right, the 3,150 is still to play for us to buy. 3,000, 2,750, 2,450. I think 2,450 could technically be a stretch because of this pattern that we're seeing. But whatever goes up really fast comes down just as fast, right? That's the rule of thumb that we've been, keep ourselves, within that sanity frame. So with respect to Bitcoin, we are breaking it right now. We did meet the resistance level of the 47,750, but we subsequently come back down because that was basically the resistance levels. We do not or cannot or do not have enough surging pressure to get to the 52 or the 53 per the technical analysis, right? So subsequently coming back down. So it seems like the selling is coming back right now. We are at the 58 out of 70, so we are relatively overbought despite the golden cross, right? I think the golden cross, it is funky and it's a little bit too dragged up. But I think, it might be too premature to say that we're in for like a sell-off coming. So we have to watch how it goes. But this is not a good sign because for us to leap another one, it needs another big macro catalyst for us to get up there. So with respect to Dogecoin, Dogecoin is a little bit better. We're still at the 44 out of 70, so not like the other ones. They are at the close to 60. So we still have some room to leap up to, I believe, for Dogecoin. So at the same time, the golden cross is still formed. It's a little bit more normal in comparison to the abnormality that we see for Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I think the Dogecoin is a little bit more bullish in comparison to the other two. Cardano is still at the early, the preliminary stage of forming a golden cross, so we're not completely there yet. We are at the 48, so I think Cardano and Dogecoin are quite comparable, but Dogecoin is a little bit more early than Cardano. Cardano is slowly forming across, so I think buying Cardano is not a bad idea because I think the surge is imminent. For Solana, really funky chart, I would say. We're at the 61 out of 70, so highly overbought. We are forming a golden cross, so the next level that we should technically get up to would be the 200, right? Or $215. But with respect to the level that we at right now at the 61, if we were at the 40s, we could probably get to the 200. But I think because of the fact that we are at the 61, I think the highs we will get to is like the 195 or 199 before we break to the 200, because I know the resistance level is technically not 200, it's the 197 per my memory that I recall. We were having some tough time crack above it, but then a lot of people FOMO'd in, which subsequently drove this really abnormal chart right here, and we were extremely up in the air. We were at Mars at that time. Remember I told you guys we're in Neptune or Saturn or something like that. I remember I used something outrageous like that in that type of adjective. So Solana is definitely more risky, but I think we are forming a golden cross. But the chart is relatively abnormal, at the same time highly overbought. So the risk versus reward ratio is not the most ideal. Okay, XRP we did form a golden cross with the 51. So I think we should still technically have some room to leap up to, because we're not extremely overbought, extremely oversold. We're just at the neutral level. So I think 110 would be the highest peak in the near term, and then we should subsequently sell back down. So Polkadot is slowly forming a cross, which is quite interesting. So I do see some bullishness coming for Polkadot, but we are at the 53 out of 70, so it's not the most ideal as well. At the same time, we are forming a head and shoulder, so this is not ideal at all. I think sell-off is imminent, but I think we might see one more surge before we sell down completely. And again, right, the dip is basically at the $25 level, which is a relatively substantive resistance level. But if we break that, the next level is going to be 23. The next level is going to be 19, which is basically $20. So with respect to psychology of the market cycle, again, right, we're within the anger and the early stage of depression. So we're going to see oscillations on a sideways fashion, so you just have to mentally prepare yourself for it. And with respect to the Ethereum price levels, the entry price that are more risk averse for my personal taste is really 3,150, 2,450 as well. With respect to if you bought at the 4,000, just hold for a long term. We have a much higher level to get up to in the future. So you just have to use that long-term mindset and stay within that vision and not let the fear shake you off and make you sell on the loss if you may, right? So really hopefully this is helpful. It's my late, basically, it's almost 10 p.m. now. 9:30 p.m. but I'm exhausted. I'm frankly having a tough time speaking, while at the same time try to use my brain juice to talk about analysis. But I promise you guys to do twice a day, right? So I missed out earlier today. But hopefully this is helpful to you guys, and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll try to respond accordingly before I basically knocked out next to me on my bed. But really appreciate you, and take care, and watch out for things coming up. Take care.